Yo, what is up, guys? We're back with part 3 of What If Naruto Had the Power of Imagination. Now, where I left off was basically Naruto Naruto and the rest of Team 7 would be at the bridge fighting Zabuza, or they just met him, or they're, like, getting ready to fight him. So basically, Zabuza would have a similar battle with Kakashi. With Kakashi still, due to him being rusty and not being in the Amu for a while, he would have got caught in Zabuza's water prison jutsu. Now, if you guys hear my voice, it's kind of weird. It's because I'm sick. So, I got a stuffy nose. So, if you hear me, inhaling kind of weird, it's probably because of that. But I should be healthy, tomorrow. But back to the what if. Now, basically, um, Zabuza would trap Kakashi in his water prison jutsu, and Naruto and Sasuke would have, make a plan. Naruto would then pretty much imagine that he had a sword. Now, a sword would pretty much come out the air, and it'll just be like a normal sword. Let's say it looked like Byakuya's. Bro, that sword is drippy. I just like that sword, okay? So I just thought of that. Now, basically, Naruto would, with the help of Sasuke, Sasuke would release a pretty strong fireball jutsu since Naruto has been training them with the power of imagination. So Sasuke would release a pretty strong fireball jutsu, while Naruto would use this at advantage and kind of like flash step or the Quincy flash step. He would pretty much just appear behind Zabuza before slicing his arm off. Now, Zabuza would see this and he would have to pull out his arm. Now, Naruto didn't want to cut off his arm, but he wanted to make it look like he could, so he could make it look, he could look threatening. Now, basically, after this, Kakashi would pretty much copy Zabuza's jutsu in their fight, pretty much copying the long hand signs of the water style water dragon jutsu, and then clash, and then Kakashi would pretty much it'd be Gooditsu for Kakashi in the fights. Now, if you don't know what Gooditsu is, and you didn't see my recent video, Gooditsu means he could easily beat somebody, or somebody could easily win. So Kakashi would easily beat Zabuza, and then right before Zabuza was gonna get killed, two Senbone would be penetrated through his neck or into his neck. Damn, my nose. After this, Zabuza would be incapacitated or would look like he'd be killed. After Kakashi would check his pulse, and see that he's dead. After this, he let the Hunter Ninja take Zabuza away, and Kakashi would pass out due to chakra overuse. Now, after this, Naruto would say, can we go to your house, Tazuna-san? After this, Tazuna would say yeah, and they'd basically head over to Tazuna's house to recuperate and get ready for the next fight. Or, the next part of the mission. Whew. After this, after a few days, Kakashi would wake up and tell them that the Hunter Ninja wasn't a Hunter Ninja, and that Hunter Ninja was actually working with Zabuza, so they have to start training. So they'd basically spend the next week training, and Naruto would just be training with them with the help of the power of imagination, so they'd be way stronger than usual. Now, once let's just say the night before, they'd be eating dinner and they'd be having a good time. They're drinking a lot. I know kids should not be drinking, but this is the ninja world, so they'd be eating pretty busting food because Tsunami is makes some pretty good stuff, and they'd be talking and stuff like that when Inari, or the small kid who would be identified later as Inari, would come in and say, "You think you can beat Gato? You're nothing but puny ninjas. You guys don't understand anything we went through." After this, Naruto would just play this off, and Sasuke would get mad since his whole clan got massacred. He's not gonna be talked down by a puny little kid. After this, he'd pretty much use the Takano Jutsu, and basically, or not use the Takano Jutsu, basically, he's gonna defend himself. He's not he's not protected by the village just because he lives there. He's not protected from trauma. He always received trauma, or he always went through trauma. So he basically gave Inari a reality check, and after that, Inari would run out and basically go to the same place he usually go, by the riverside. Now they'd go back to doing what they usually did, and the next day, like Naruto would be pretty mad at what Inari says, and he would go train outside. He'd pretty much train until he's pretty much exhausted, and he would sleep there. He would then wake up the next day, and then he would head towards the mission, like the bridge. Now, once Naruto, since he's late, he would quickly take down the two bandits that were planning to, kidnap Inari and Tsunami for, like leverage. Now, after this, Naruto would quickly kill them and throw their bodies into the river, basically turning their bodies into dust. After this, he'd pretty much flash step towards the bridge, and he'd be there. Like he would then like flash step between Haku and Sasuke. He would then quickly grab one of Haku's senbun that he was about to throw it to Sasuke and stab it through one of Haku's shoulders, or his right shoulder. After this, he would then look towards Sakura and Sasuke. He says, "You guys can handle this, right? I'll protect the bridge builder." Now Haku, like Sasuke and Sakura, would easily, push Haku to his limits before Haku would use the demonic ice spear jutsu. Now after this, they get trapped into Sasuke and Sakura would get trapped into the ice spear jutsu. Now Naruto would realize that they don't really need help. So this would be his downfall, since unfortunately things would not go to canon. When Sasuke and Sakura would be fighting Haku there, Sasuke was the only one who could hold himself together, since he had just awakened the two-tomoe Sharingan. Now basically they'd be fighting in there, and Sakura or Sasuke would lose his footing, and Sakura pretty much knew what Sasuke did to Naruto in canon, basically take about 1,000 senbon to the ass, but not the actual ass, but you know what I mean. And in this canon, Haku is more bloodlusted. So unfortunately for you Sakura fans, Sakura will be killed off in this what if. Now, Naruto would widen his eyes when he'd see this, and he'd pretty much go rage mode. He'd have a Zenkai boost. Or yeah, I heard this in Rogex's What If Naruto was Ichigo's Reincarnation, so I pretty much got to see what a Zenkai boost was. So Naruto would use his Zenkai boost, and Sasuke would get the three-tomoe Sharingan. It wouldn't be a Mangekyo, since he didn't really know Sakura that long. After this, Sasuke and Naruto would, pretty much no mercy. They would go no mercy on Haku would pretty much rip him a new hole. Not like that though, but they'd pretty much kill Haku, with Naruto cutting off his head and Sasuke pretty much burning his body into dust, or like crispy little dust, like a burnt chicken nugget. Now after this, Kakashi, like Naruto and Sasuke would hear the 1,000 chirping birds before they'd see Kakashi penetrating Zabuza through the heart with the Yurakiri. After this, the Gato's men and his guards and Gato himself would come to the bridge, and Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi would easily be able to take down the thugs with Naruto slicing off Gato's head. Now, like I usually do in all the what ifs, I usually have Naruto rob the safe and keep some of the money for the village, but this time he would take all the money for himself, since that's just how Grammy is. Now after this, they would pretty much build a grave for Sakura, and they'd pretty much go back to the leaf. They'd carry a casket. Now once they get back to the leaf, they'd have the funeral, and that would be the end of it. Sakura would die. Now Naruto would pretty much, this would cause a series of events for Naruto, which would lead him to one day. Naruto would be walking out, and he'd be thinking, he'd realize all the elders, they didn't care about Sakura's death. They didn't even glance at it. Everyone's just pawns to them. He realized that he wants to make his own village. Now he'd walk over to Sasuke's house, and he'd pretty much ask him, yo, you trying to head out this village? We can get strong enough for you to kill Itachi. Now we know Sasuke, he cannot resist the opportunity to get strong enough to kill Itachi. So he'd be like, yo, I'm down. Now pretty much Sasuke and Naruto would head out the village, and Naruto would pretty much make his army with his power of imagination. He would find some bandits on the way there and pretty much give them power in order for them to join him and to make a new village. Now they'd go to the land of the waves and pretty much conquer that land. And since Naruto is literally the hero there, they wouldn't mind, him being their leader. Now, since the land of the waves is part of the land of the mist, this would spark some conflict. They would see some the Nine Tails Jinchuriki basically colonizing their land. They'd be pretty scared. God, my nose. After this, pretty much they'd pretty much start a war between the land of the waves and the land of the mist, or the mist village. So we'll go to the battlefield. Basically, Naruto created all his soldiers who would pretty much have like basic Quincy arrows and swords, something like that. They wouldn't have too much advanced abilities, but they'd be pretty strong for their own right. We would also have the bandits, which he would have gave them power like chakra, more enhanced chakra abilities. They wouldn't really have Quincy abilities, since he couldn't really give them that, since they has to create them in order for that to happen. Oh man. Now after this, it'd be at the battle. It'd be like the fourth Mizukage versus the fourth Mizukage's army versus basically the land of the waves, or what would be called as the land of imagination. I know that seems pretty interesting. I'll actually think of a Kage name for that if they become the sixth great ninja. Now, basically, they'd have a battle, and Naruto would be at the front lines fighting the Mizukage. He'd pretty much be even, like in his base form. He'd be equal powered to the Mizukage, the fourth Mizukage. Sasuke would pretty much, would come in next with his three-tomo Sharingan, and he'd gotten pretty strong. He would pretty much have his Shippuden outfit with his sword and the Uchiha outfit, and they would start fighting. The Mizukage would pretty much try to shoot a tailed beast bomb at them, and it would not work. Naruto would then use like a technique to absorb it and pretty much send it towards the sky, kind of like redirecting the attack. After this, the Mizukage would try to trap them in his like weird style. Like, I don't know what it's called, but it's Isabu's trap. It's like ice, but it's like pink, like crystal. I don't really know how to say it, but basically you try to trap him in it. But Sasuke would just use the Chidori to basically cut through it. Like, he would put like Chidori stream into his sword, and he would just cut it down. After this, Naruto would be like, it's time to end this. He would pretty much imagine like he would make his arena like he did to Kenpachi in the manga, and he would pretty much change the landscape. That's what Grammy should have done in his battle with Kenpachi. He should have changed the landscape. I was watching Tekken 101's video about how Gremmy's garbage, and one of his reasons is that he should have changed the landscape. So Naruto would change the landscape to like a fire landscape. So, the fourth Mizukage can use those techniques on them, those weird ice techniques. So after this, Naruto would then charge or run towards Isebu, and they'd pretty much clash kunai to sword. Now Naruto would pretty much flash down behind the fourth Mizukage and cut open his chest, basically, killing him. Now after this, he'd absorb the fourth, no, not the fourth, the three tails, and he'd pretty much, as chakra, just pure chakra, and he'd give it to one of his highest lieutenants, and just as compensation for being loyal to him. After this, this would pretty much strengthen the loyalty in Naruto's force. Now, they'd pretty much conquer the Mist Village, and that would be the end of it. Now, basically, we'll actually, we'll do the 3-year time skip. Now, in the last, 3 years of, doing the time skip, Naruto would be training, getting intel on the Otsutsuki, since they need to conquer them to rule over the world. That's what Naruto wants to do. Now, Naruto and Sasuke would see a new group. They weren't as strong as the Otsutsuki's, but they were pretty much up there when it came to that, the group levels. They were a group called the Akatsuki. They wanted to seal all the Jinchurikis to basically have a peace in the world. Now, Naruto would realize after some studying, and not that kind of studying, but actual studying, he realized that it's not the tail beast they want to put everyone in a weird genjutsu, but he realized their plans. Now he and Sasuke would, Sasuke over the 3 year time skip would have gained his Mangekyo, and with Naruto's power of imagination, he would give Sasuke the EMS. Now you guys think, oh, Sasuke's kind of OP, but Naruto has the power of imagination. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Now basically, Naruto and Sasuke would pretty much head towards the Akatsuki base. Or not the base, but like they'd head towards the sand village. Now they meet up with none other than Sasori and Deidara. Now they'd quickly mop the floor with them, and basically Naruto would slash Sasori in half, breaking his shell before he would actually slash his real form. While Sasuke would use lightning jutsu on Deidara to basically win. Naruto would be interrogating Sasori, and basically he would ask, where's the base? Sasori would cooperate with Naruto and give him a map of where the base was before Naruto would end his life stabbing Sasori through the puppet heart. Now, if you guys are wondering why would Sasori give him the information, it's because if you were split in half, you wouldn't want to live any longer. And he was wondering if Naruto would pretty much spare him, but that wasn't the case. Now Sasuke would kill Deidara since they already got the information, and Naruto and Sasuke would rest up. Now, they'd be walking through the village or the sand village, just walking around until they went up to this newspaper. Now they'd read the newspaper. They see like 3 years ago, there was a Konoha Crush arc pretty much. Now the Hiruzen died, and basically, the Gaara was pretty much tamed, not tamed, but like he became calmer. Let's just say somebody else, like used a Takano Jutsu. And basically, Hiruzen died, and Orochimaru is on the run, but his arm is sealed. His arms are sealed, and Tsunade Senju became the fifth Hokage. Now, basically Naruto would see this, and he would then look at he would see like a bingo book in the store. He'd walk in and kindly ask for that, and before he would pay for it, and he and Sasuke would go outside before they'd go through the book. Now they'd go inside the book and they'd see Sasuke Uchiha, S-rank criminal, Naruto Uzumaki, double S-rank criminal. And he'd look towards Sasuke, saying, I guess people do like really fear us that much, for us to be in the bingo book. Sasuke, nod and realize, they'd be walking outside the village until a crow would land on Sasuke's shoulder. Now, Sasuke would look at this, and he'd be put in a genjutsu by the crow, and he'd basically see Itachi sitting on the Uchiha clan, like the where Sasuke and Itachi fought. One of the clan houses, I guess you could say. I actually don't know what the word was, but basically one of the Uchiha bases. Now Itachi would tell him to meet him there, to settle their fight. Saying that, Itachi would say, you got the same eyes as me, so you can come fight me now, little brother. After this, Naruto would pretty much say, do you want me to come along with you, Sasuke? Sasuke would say, yeah, this might be an ambush, set up by the leaf or something like that. Now they'd head over to the clan base, and they pretty much, jeez, my nose, God. Okay, right. They'd head over there, and they'd walk in. Now Kisame would try to stop Naruto, but Naruto would just put him in a kind of weird illusion, basically saying that let him in because the power of imagination is quite strong. Now, after this, they'd walk in, and Naruto would pretty much look towards Itachi and say, "Yo, I'll just be watching." After this, he'd say, "Good luck, Sasuke." Sasuke would activate his EMS, and Itachi would say, which Uchiha eyes did he take? Sasuke says he didn't take anyone's eyes. He got the power from Naruto's Genkai. Since that's what everyone thought with the, it was a Genkai. Now, Itachi would pretty much disregard this before they'd have their similar battle. Now, Sasuke would be put under Itachi's Genjutsu, and Itachi would ask, what really happened with the clan. Now, Itachi would not ask this. He would basically say, if you beat me, I'll tell you. Now, after this, Sasuke would pretty much whoop Itachi, basically using stuff like Kirin and the Susanoo, stuff like that to easily take down Itachi. So he'd pretty much kill Itachi, or almost kill him. And Itachi would pretty much tap his forehead like usual, and then hand over a scroll to Sasuke, basically saying, "Sorry, Sasuke, this is the last time before dying." Now, after this, Naruto would pretty much wait for Sasuke to finish reading it, and Sasuke would pretty much get some emotional empowerment, and he pretty much realized what really happened with the clan. And he basically says he wants to destroy the leaf. Now, Naruto, definitely not being against this, would be, say he's down. Now, basically, Naruto would walk over to Itachi before absorbing his chakra and giving it to Sasuke. Sasuke would get a pretty big power boost, and he'd get a little taller and leaner with his muscles before he would look towards Naruto saying, let's go. Now, after this, they'd walk towards the Leaf Village and pretty much start their conquering. They pretty much have all of the Mist Village, and, they basically call Naruto the Mizukage now. Now, they just had a different, they had a different ideology there. Instead of its usual bloody Mist Village, it was more calmer. It was more like a utopia. Now, basically, they'd walk to the entrance of the Leaf Village before Sasuke would go into his perfect Susanoo, and Naruto would be ready to destroy everything. Now, they'd pretty much conquer the Leaf Village, with there being little to no resistance, since Kakashi is strong and all, but I don't think he can beat Naruto. He'd actually be pretty, surprised by why Naruto and Sasuke would be doing this, Naruto would tell him that, this whole world is corrupt, he's gonna be the one to fix it. And that would be the last words before, Kakashi would be killed by Naruto. Now, I know this is a pretty dark path that they're taking, but this is necessary. This is a necessary change. After they conquered the Leaf Village, they would pretty much go through with the other world conquering, and they'd pretty much gather up their alliance force before Naruto would open a portal to the main planet where the Otsutsukis reside. Now, once they get in, they'd pretty much start the war against the Otsutsukis. Now, Naruto would go through and basically kill the lower ranking, absorbing the chakra, and giving them to his lieutenants and captains of his army, like the Stern Redders, or that's what he would call them, at least. And his high guard, his loyal guards. Now, basically, damn. Whew, jeez, I don't know what he's calling me, but basically, Naruto would basically conquer most of the Otsutsukis, and yeah, that'd be pretty much it. Now, once they pretty much do that, this would being called. But basically, that would start the world control of Naruto. He'd kill all the Otsutsukis, he would absorb them, give the power to his soldiers, and that'd be pretty much it. And without further ado, guys, I think this will be the end of this What If. Naruto would be the king of the Otsutsukis, or the god of Otsutsukis. And, yeah, that'll be the end of it. But without further ado, guys, I don't know who's calling me, but hey, it is what it is. Other than that, guys, peace out.